Good now. Okay, so welcome to the fall 2024 BSMS information session. This is primarily directed at seniors who are either graduating this semester or next semester. But if you are a junior, you will get some information. You should come back in spring, get more pizza, and then listen to me again. It's my pleasure to welcome all of you, and also with me is Miss Katie Yu. You might have seen emails from her. If you decide to continue with our program, you would be interacting a lot with her. She is the graduate program coordinator. So in the undergraduate section, you probably interact with Ms. Pam Heinold, right? She's the graduate of Pam, right? And we're thankful to John Kapiti for helping us out. And we have three special guests today who will be talking to you later. So if the three of you can stand up, we have Hector, Vincenzo, and Hannah. All three of them are our current BSMS students, and they have all been paid $0 to come here on pizza and come and talk to you about their experience. So you can sit down again. We'll have a panel with them. So let's get started. I just want to motivate the idea of why you may want to have the master's degree. Many of you might have already heard this pitch, but I'll just give it to you again. And many times, of course, there used to be a time where we were saying if you do high school, it's good enough. Then we said if you get a college degree, it's great. And are we now saying college degree, just bachelor's degree is not good enough? That's not really the point. A good fraction of our undergraduates, once they get the bachelor's degree, they are pretty happy with that. And they go on, get jobs, and sometimes they come back for master's, sometimes they don't. But we do want to point out why people go for master's, and sometimes they go for master's later in their career. And we are trying to talk about why having a BSMS program is going to get you some savings in terms of your both time and money. Okay. So you have a question?
Yeah, and because it'll be cheaper now to get master's than later.
Yeah, we'll be talking about some of those aspects. Yes, absolutely. So there are several reasons why you might want to consider continuing on with your master's program rather than taking a break, coming back, or not doing master's at all. One reason is intellectual growth. The job that you're going to get after your undergraduate degree is going to be based upon whatever you have learned. And we'll hear more from people who are right now in the thick of things, how the master's program is helping them intellectually grow. But at the undergraduate level, what you really have is just the tip of the iceberg. You are touching each area a little bit, getting exposed to those areas. But there's a lot of unknown things that you haven't covered. And master's degree basically allows you to focus on one slice of the specialization in ECE. Maybe you fell in love with circuits and you have no interest in, for example, doing anything further with discrete math, let's say, right? Or you fell in love with programming and you're like, what is this probability nonsense that I have to attend, or whatever else, right? You can focus on that. You say, I don't want to do electronic devices, or I want to do machine learning, but applied side of this. Or I really am into the theory side of things and I want to understand those aspects. So that's what master's allows you to do, dig deeper. Yes, you have some electives in your final year, but those electives are still only 1 or 2 courses as compared to 7, 8, 9 courses that get you that specialization. The other aspect of why you may want to target masters is because of the fact that what you have gained, you may be put into jobs. One of the, of course, if you are in the business, you would know that you're looking for jobs, that some of the jobs, most frequently available jobs are, for example, technical sales, right? Because, you producing something on your own, you need to have certain expertise level. And some people love that, and some people have whatever job they are able to get, they don't fall in love with it. Whereas master's allows you to get expertise, which can then lead you to have real job satisfaction which is that now you have expertise, you get a job in an area where you really like doing what you would have liked to do rather than, just going on knocking on people's doors and selling them whatever you want to sell them. Not to say that those are the only kind of jobs, but for many people, that could be the thing. And we'll talk about, for example, one of the advice we give is that, if you get a great job, wonderful. You don't have to stick around for masters. But if you have a job which doesn't really excite you, maybe that is another reason you want to consider masters. And of course, one of the other things is that you have higher lifetime earnings if you do masters versus bachelors. The earning differential between masters and bachelors can be anywhere from, it keeps on fluctuating depending upon what you are doing. In some fields, the differential is huge. In some fields, for example, if you go into machine learning, I'm giving as an example, it's very hard to find good machine learning jobs as an undergraduate because you just haven't learned enough, right? You have probably taken 1 or 2 courses. So the differential can be large, and for some of you that might be the goal, right? And there's nothing wrong with that as long as you don't destroy the earth, right? So there are multiple reasons. You figure out what resonates with you, and one of the advice that we give students is that, look, if you do not really know what you are doing, you want to apply for the BSMS program, and I'll show you because it costs you $0 to apply for the BSMS program, and you have time to figure out, if you get into the program, which if your credentials are good, we'll talk about how do you get into it. In that case, if you, let's say, you don't find a good job later, or you find a job that pays you well, but you think like, there's no way I can see myself working there for the next 5-10 years, or if I start that job, my trajectory will go in a different direction, then you always have a place, okay, you know what, I'm gonna continue with my master's rather than jumping onto it, right? So that's a very useful thing for you to think about. And so that's sort of like the spiel of why you may want to do masters, okay? Let's talk about why the combined BSMS program at Rutgers, because once you decide you want to do masters, there are, just like after your undergraduate, there are hundreds of universities, you can go anywhere, right? So why the combined BSMS program? So let's talk about that. The reason is that it does provide you one of the best value for your time and money. I do want to clarify that BSMS is not, although people like to say it, it's not 4+1 program. You are not guaranteed that you will graduate in 1 year. It all depends upon how many credits you are coming in with. Just like a bachelor's degree is not guaranteed to be a 4-year degree, yes, a large fraction does. But if you play it right, most of our students, and we'll talk about one who can even do it in 1 semester, right? But most of our students are able to finish it in a year. And when you combine that, basically, you need 1 more year of classes. You are already within the same framework after your bachelor's degree. So what is BSMS program is that you transition seamlessly from bachelor to master. And if you have planned things right, you graduate within 1 year, which means you pay 1 year of tuition. And that, on top of that, if you are capable enough, you can also get greater positions, which are typically only reserved for master's students, assistantships, which are very hard, graduate assistantships, or other positions, which, if you are able to, as we'll talk about, for example, one of our other panelists, he's right now a Socrates fellow, right? So yeah?
Me? No, I'm not.
No, you're working with Socrates. Right?
Yeah, I am working.
Yeah. Is it for like just working or?
I am doing research as a GA.
Yeah. So that is what I mean.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Yeah. I work with Dr.
Yeah.
I myself am not a doctor.
Yeah. So there are things available that you can get. They are competitive. I'm not gonna say if 50 of you apply, everyone is gonna get. Right? But there are opportunities that come up, and you can explore that. Especially the greater positions come up a lot for master students, and they, if nothing else, they knock off about $4,000 or $5,000 from your tuition. So within a year, you are able to get a master's degree by paying anywhere between, let's say, 10K to 12K tuition and not too much more. Okay. This is just numbers that if you do get a TGA position, it comes with about $18,000 stipend for per semester. Depending upon whether you get a semester one or you get a full year. You also get tuition remission and you have healthcare benefit. Again, I don't want to say that everyone gets it, but if you are competitive, we'll talk about how you can get hold of that. In addition, you get also $1,000 scholarship. And so it is never guaranteed. Every year, the dean's office tell us whether they are going to give next year or not. But so far, for the last 4 years, they have continued to do it, right? Which is that if you sign up immediately without any break, and you sign up for full-time course load, that is the requirement. You can't be doing part-time. Then you also get $1,000 knocked off from your tuition bill. Okay, so this means that you can do things in a much cheaper fashion, but there is another added advantage which not everyone takes advantage of, but which is that actually as a graduate student, you are able to take courses from Princeton up to 3 courses. So you are able to get Ivy League education part of your courses without paying any extra tuition. You pay the same tuition, you pay the tuition to Rutgers, but you can go to Princeton and say, I really like this course, Rutgers doesn't offer that, I want to take that course, right? And you can take 3 of those courses, up to 3. You can take more too, but we would only, towards your degree, will count only 3 years, okay? So I would say about 10% of our master's students take us up on that offer, and they go to Princeton. Of course, it requires a little bit of a commute. They have to go to Princeton and take those courses and come back, but they are taking advantage of that, right? So effectively, you are getting Princeton education at really state university cost. So these are all the reasons you may want to think about doing the BSMS program. If you think of, for example, let's take the example of if you even go to any state school, right? A typical master's is easily going to take you 3 to 4 semesters if you do not use this BSMS opportunity, which means that if nothing else, you have increased your cost and time by a factor of 1.5 to 2. Okay. So how can you do it in 1 year? That is what we want to focus on. A master's degree, just like your bachelor's degree requires 123 credits. Your master's degree requires 30 credits. And there is a minimum GPA requirement, which is 3.0. So that's what you need. Okay. Now, although students don't always do that, they take more course load, but we do recommend for graduate students to limit their course load. So the full-time status at master's level is 9 credits. Full-time status at bachelor's level is 12 credits. So you can kind of think of it that 1 credit at the master's level because of the challenges and things like that, the projects are more intensive. 1 credit at master's level is kind of, in terms of workload, is like 1.5 credit or 1.3 credit, depending upon the instructor of your undergraduate credit. Okay. So we recommend that students take 9 credits, but students are able to take up to 12, just like at the undergraduate level, instead of 12, many take 15, right? So it's kind of that thing. So if you were to just come in as a fresh student, as a fresh master's student, you are not doing BSMS, it will take you 3 to 4 semesters to finish the master's degree. But if you are a BSMS student, the key idea here is that you can use 12 of your unused undergraduate credits. They have to be 400 level and above. If they are from math department, we allow 300 level credits also. When you look at your degree navigator, they must be unused in your degree navigator. They cannot be courses in music or anthropology or things like that. They have to be related to your degree. But if you do that, right, so many of you either took more load in the beginning, or they ended up taking 1 or 2 semesters more course load and ended up with some extra credits than they need to graduate. All of you can go to your degree navigator and check right now, for example, if there are any unused courses. Any of those unused courses. So at the master level, if we had a master student that they said they want to take an undergraduate course and want to get credit for that, we would not allow that. But because you are a BSMS student, and while you are a bachelor student, you can take extra courses, and you can use those courses to basically transfer towards your master. There is a formal transfer process that happens. So for many students, you can come anywhere from, we have students who come with 3 extra credits, 6 extra credits, 9 or 12. And if you come up to 12, then you are only left with 18 credits, right? If you come up with 6, you are left with 24 credits. So that's the idea, that while you are a student, so now you are already taking your fall semester if you're a senior, but in the spring semester, when you are finishing up your degree, if you have room, you want to add perhaps 1 or 2 additional undergraduate courses, and then transfer those courses towards your master's degree when the time comes. Okay. So here are some possible pathways that you can do, right? So one case is that this is, I believe, was the case with Vincenzo, right? You transferred 12 credits?
Yes.
Yeah. So which is that, a senior was kind of in a situation where when they started their senior year, they only had 18 credits left. So one thing was they could have an easy life. They could take 9 credits or whatever, right? But they heard about the BSMS and they said, why do I take 9 credits? I'm already paying tuition. Why don't I add more credits while I'm an undergraduate student? Take undergraduate courses, but then they will count towards my master's. So instead of enrolling for 9 credits as an undergraduate per semester, that senior is enrolling in 15 credits per semester, right? Why are they taking those extra credits? Because they are effectively going towards their master's degree. And so once they are done graduating, they have taken 12 extra credits, and that becomes their master's. So effectively, while they were finishing their undergraduate, they have already finished 12 credits of their master's also. Okay. Another case could be that a senior needed 24 credits in their senior year. So now, instead of taking 12 credits, I'm equally dividing them. So instead of taking 12 credits, they took 15 credits per semester, right? So that gave them only 6 more credits. So they applied that, they are still left with 24 credits. How do they, for example, still finish in 1 year? One thing could be, and we'll talk about one of our other panels. Hannah, for example, did that. I don't remember if Vincenzo did that or not, but which is that after you graduate with bachelor, you immediately do. We have the 4-credit internship program. So you can do 3 credits then take 9 credits, and then the last summer you take 3 more credits, and you have effectively still finished in 1 year, right? Through 2 summers of internship program. Okay. And the same scenario could be done in a different way, where someone said, I don't want to do 4-credit internship. You know what? I used to take more credits at the undergraduate level. I used to take 15 credits, not 12. At the graduate level, I can survive with 12 credits. So instead of taking the 9 credit load, they took 12 credit load. And yes, it's a little bit challenging, but they still took 12 credits, they finished it. Okay. And then they applied the additional credit towards their, it should be 6 here. They were left with 6 additional credits. So they applied that towards their master's degree. Okay. It can be a different sets of mix and matches. You had maybe you came in with 9 credits. One semester you took 12 credits. One semester you take 9 credits. There are different versions you can do. I had one student, and I don't remember if any one of you are in that, but I had one student who took 15 credits, and I was like, I don't recommend that, but they were like very sure that they can manage it. So I don't remember but how things went. So that's sort of like how you can actually accelerate your program. To do that, of course, you have to make sure that you are adding more courses while you are an undergraduate student. Okay. Let me take a pause here and take any questions before I move on. Any questions about how this sort of like the unused credits part works? Yes.
So the 12 credits that transfer in, do you have to continue with your master's after, or can you take like a year off and then come back and still have those credits?
So we allow deferral of up to a year. So once you apply for BSMS program, you get admitted into our master's program. After you graduate with undergraduate, you had 12 additional credits, right? But you said, I want to take a 1-year break for whatever reason. We allow deferral up to 1 year. If you don't show up and you come back 3 years later, you are no longer a BSMS student. Now you are a fresh master's student. Your admission is over. Now those, because as I said, for our master's student, we do not accept undergraduate credit. It is this program that allows that. But once your relationship with Rutgers has broken, we can allow deferral up to a year. Once the relationship has broken, then you are now a fresh master's student. And at that time, those unused credits are gone.
Okay, an additional question. So instead of taking the year off, what if you just take 3 credits each semester?
Sorry?
What if do you have to take the full 9 credits each semester?
No, you don't. You can't. You can do part-time also. I mean, that's up to you. You can do, we do have some students who actually start working and they do part-time after, and they take longer than, that's why I don't like to call it 4+1, because +1 is a misnomer. You can do part-time, you can do 3 credits each semester while you're working. And we have other incentives for part-time students that we are developing also, but yeah.
So for the part-time, you still keep the 12 credits?
Yes, if you are enrolled in our program, after you became BSMS, then that extra credits transfer over, even if you are doing part-time. There is no requirement that you have to finish in 1 year. You can do part-time.
Okay.
Very few students do that. That's why we don't talk about it. But yes, you can do that. Someone else had a hand up over here. Yes.
So how do you tell like which like the count, like, because like those different courses you need to take, there's a list of different ones.
Yeah. So and we'll talk about how do you plan with the graduate director. So I hold office hours weekly, and we first refer the students, and Katie had her office open, and we can basically help you plan for that. So there is a list of courses that are given to you, and based upon that, you should pick your courses that would be the most helpful towards your specialization. Does that help? Okay. Yes.
Are those during the masters, like when you're enrolled as a master's student?
So 4-credit internship only works after you have graduated from bachelor's. Let me clarify how the status works. BSMS is not a status. BSMS is just a transition from BS to MS. To become our master's student, you have to get your bachelor's degree first. Once you get your bachelor's degree, only then you can do 4-credit internship. So you cannot do your internship if you haven't finished your bachelor's.
And then also, are they separate from the undergraduate internship?
Yes. Yeah, this is everything I'm talking about is a master's program. You want to come in over here? We have seats over here. Good? Okay. So we'll have opportunities to talk about more questions immediately about just the transfer part and the extra credits, if there are any questions. They're good? Yes. So acceptance rate, I would say, is if you are at a higher, it depends upon the specialization you pick. Okay? If you pick the right specialization, if your grade, what we are looking for is we hate for a student to be admitted and then have to ask them, you cannot survive in our program, right? So our acceptance rate tends to be pretty high if the specialization you have picked and the courses you had related to that specialization are, they correlate well. Your grades in that correlate well. That's what we are looking for. You are going for solid state electronics. If you had not a great grade in programming, that's fine. But if you are going for software engineering and your PM1 and PM2 grades are Ds, right? It doesn't seem like you are making the right decision. So it's not really about it, there are nuances that we look at. And yeah. Okay, so what are additional benefits of being a BSMS student? First of all, as I said, it costs you $0. It costs you $0 to apply. If you think you might be interested in it, then you should go for it. If you, at the end of the day, you get something great, whatever your favorite tech bro is, right, or Texas is, you go and say like, oh, they have offered me that job. I really love it. Okay, you can leave. There's no, we are not gonna say, oh, give us the money or give us a deposit of $1,000 or whatever. So you don't need to take any GRE exam. You don't need to pay any admission fee. Okay. You don't need to write any admission essay. Remember that from your undergraduate days, right? No admission essay. And you may not need recommendation letters. This is the only part which is may, not do not. And may part depends upon your GPA. Okay. But it doesn't get easier than that. We'll talk about the application submission process. It has been streamlined a lot. So it literally will take you 5 minutes to apply. Okay. Now, this is sort of the upshot. We'll talk about further things, but I think many of the questions, what I want to do is actually hand it over to people who are actually in the program. So I'm going to invite Hector, Vincenzo, and Hannah to join us as panelists. And I'll just give you some background, right? So Vincenzo, you folks can please take a seat. Vincenzo is doing master's in ECE with a concentration in machine learning, if I'm not mistaken. He graduated in spring 2023. He is a Socrates fellow, or whatever GA or whatever you want to call that, right? Gave me a scare that I thought I wrote something wrong. He transferred 12 credits into the MS program. And he's also taking a Princeton Exchange course, which I guess he can tell you which one, right? And he can tell you what experience he's doing, right? So a lot of things. Then we have Hannah Schwartz, and she is also doing concentration in machine learning. She graduated in 2024, spring. She was Eta Kappa new president. She was the winner of the 2024 Excellence in Undergraduate Leadership Award, had many undergraduate studies. She did 4-credit internship in summer with AT&T, and she is on track to actually graduate in 1 semester. So basically, she graduated in spring, took 3 credits in summer, and then she will tell you how many she's taking now, and she will also be able to explain to you how she actually packed up her schedule before her graduation. To give her even more credits. So once you are, I forgot to mention, once you are done with those 12 credits, and if you still have room, basically what you can do is we can let you take graduate courses, which do not count towards that limit. And that's what Hannah did. Okay. And then we have Hector, who is doing master's. It's good to see for a change not in machine learning, right? In solid state electronics. He graduated in 2024, and he's an Air Force ROTC cadet. And on top of everything else, the training and everything else, he is doing this master. So with that, I will hand it over to Katie to engage with them, and then you can ask them questions. So Katie, all yours.
Yeah. So yeah, as what you said, my name is Katie. I'm the graduate program coordinator. So you'll get to know me, hopefully. But I wanted to hear from you guys about your experiences in the program. So Hannah, can you tell me about your experience in the BSMS program and why did you decide to apply?
Sure, so thank you for that introduction. So the way I did it was in my senior year, I realized that I had a lot of extra space in my schedule. And earlier on, I decided like I could use that time maybe go for a minor, but I figured if I already have a master's degree, most employers won't really care if I had a minor or not. So instead, I saved that space to be able to take extra courses. So in the fall of my senior year, I took an extra 6 credits, and then in the spring, I took 12 credits. So 12 of these were undergraduate level, and then I took an extra 6 credits of graduate level courses. So I was already entering with a full 18 credits. And then in the summer, I did an internship and got 3 credits from that. And this semester, I'm taking 9 credits and then I'll be finished. So it takes a little bit of planning, but if you see that you have that extra room in your schedule, it really was one of the main reasons to do BSMS here, because I was able to sort of compact that really efficiently into getting this, an actual master's degree with pretty much 1 extra semester.
Oh, yeah, that is very impressive, and that's like a great path that you're able to take. What about you, Vincenzo? Why did you decide to apply to the program, and what has your experience been like?
Sure. So just further education, but I was just like, you know what? Let me try out the master's program. There was a little barrier to entry. It was pretty seamless, and I fortunately had the space to attempt to do additional credits for my undergrad and translate it to my master's. And overall, the process was seamless and easy. And I also just really enjoyed the material and the bubble related to machine learning. It felt better because I got a closer connection to professors to better understand their research and development, as well as like the opportunities, like as the aforementioned Princeton class has been really cool and interesting, which is something that not a lot of students can like put on their resume or discuss that they got to experience. So really friendly staff and faculty to work with, really interesting material, and overall really fun.
What course are you taking at Princeton?
So I'm currently taking Imaging the Invisible, which is a course not offered at Rutgers University. One of the main things to be aware of. It's taught by a professor called Felix Hyde, who is kind of in state of the art in regards to the machine vision bubble. Talks about NERFs, SLAM, HDR, and a multitude of kind of state of the art methods, as well as talking about research papers in the world of machine vision, machine learning. Really cool, really fun. Of course, a little bit difficult, but really interesting.
Cool. Hector, what about you? How's your experience in the program been, and why did you decide to apply?
Yeah, so it's been great. First semester in the program, I would say compared to undergrad, definitely a little bit more packed into the content for each class, but definitely doable. So a little bit of background. So as Dr. Batra mentioned before, I'm the winner for Rutgers ECE. So I joined as a sophomore. They require 4 years. That means I had to either extend my graduation date or do a master's, right? So I kind of figured like rather than just taking less classes, probably move forward, right? Not just like stay stagnant, but like pursue a higher degree, right? So that was kind of like the main reason why I decided to go through this program. Also, during my internship, I asked some of the supervisors I had, and they said that definitely at some point in your career you'll need a master's, whether it's probably a year or 2 after you graduate or like 5 years in advance, because at the end of the day, that's what employers like to see, and you'll end up needing that type of knowledge in the long run in your career.
Where did you do an internship?
Yeah, I
Who
was
gave you that advice?
Oh yeah, internship in Northrop Grumman. They are a defense contractor in the aerospace industry. I was in their facilities doing testing on wafers, semiconductors.
So Hannah, you kind of touched on this already, but to you, what was the biggest benefit of the BSMS program?
So for me, that I think that would definitely be the speed that I was able to finish the degree. And also has, the added benefits of everything going in. It's all the same environment, everything's together, but the fact that I was able to, do a bachelor's and a master's in 4.5 years was definitely a big motivating factor.
Yeah, you don't have to adjust to a new space and a new
Mhm.
faculty.
Exactly, you already know it, you know the teachers, you know the classes, and
That's big prep. What about you, Vincenzo? What was the biggest benefit for you about the program?
Well, I would have echoed the same as Hannah, that I'd be able to complete it in a speedy fashion, but as Bajwa said, it's not necessarily a 4+1 program. I'm kind of echoing what I said previously, but I really like working with the faculty, getting to be familiar with the environment that I already have, and getting to take classes that are kind of above and beyond what is expected. You're dealing with both like state of the art and like essentials and like entering the world of like, for my instance, machine learning. So it's really fun to kind of understand where it originated from, and then it's how we've kind of expanded over the past couple.
For lots of our students will not graduate in 1 year, and it is totally fine.
Absolutely.
So to you, what has been the biggest benefit for like staying a little bit longer? Because there are definitely benefits.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I should.
Yeah.
For no reason.
No, I wasn't saying like, you can't say poorly.
No, the reason why I was extended because I did very well in one of the classes, and we offered machine vision for the graduate department. And I got recommended to a professor to do research with Kristen Dana. And I decided to take that opportunity to understand how kind of research and development works and enter that bubble. So it was kind of unexpected. I was more so interested in doing the technical route, but I might transition to do the thesis route, which is why I've extended my stay here. I guess like a hotel. Yeah.
What about you, Hector? What has been the biggest benefit in the program?
Yeah, so as I mentioned before, I still have to like stay around for another year. So definitely filling out that year. Also requirement that I have a requirement as a full-time student, so that also fulfills the requirement. Regarding during my internship at this, I realized that I wanted to be more into the semiconductor industry. Here they offer the solid state concentration, so it's like a dream come true, right? Same university program that focuses on has a concentration that is in the area, in my area of interest, right? So definitely those are kind of like the benefits. Also, I didn't have a lot of research background, so the fact that they offer a thesis or non-thesis option definitely helped, since you can really do a thesis in like a year, right? You need research beforehand. So in my case, I didn't have a lot of research background, so I went with the non-thesis option, which allows me to finish up on next spring.
So you kind of already touched on this, but why would you recommend the BSMS program to a senior?
okay, so as I mentioned before, first off, being able to go through it quickly, it really adds just another level of why not study that extra year, get your master's degree. A lot of employers like to see it. And yeah, it is a really good program, and being able to do it like that. And as I mentioned before, the known environment, you know what classes you're signing up for, you know a lot of the professors already, and it's just nice to have that continuation and be able to advance in your degree.
What about you? Why would you recommend the program?
Well, I'd recommend the program because again, pretty seamless transition. You kind of don't have to take any exams. At most, you may need are some letters of recommendation. And to be quite frankly, when you're running around your senior year, balancing your course load as well as finalizing where you want to go, it's nice to have that weight off your back of not worrying about additional exams and additional responsibilities where you can transition that focus elsewhere. As well, the scholarship is pretty nice. It's been, since we're getting ahead of the ball, we get that like, if we're able to, opportunity. As well as, again, if you like your undergraduate experience in like that learning bubble, I think the master's continues that pretty smoothly, as well as offering some additional challenge, which could be pretty fun.
You talk about the additional challenge. So for you, I'm gonna skip ahead so we can kind of condense this. How is being a master's student similar and different from being a bachelor student?
Yeah, that's a great question. So in some aspects, it might be easier. In some aspects, it might be tougher. As typically it's expected in your undergraduate, you're typically doing about 12 to 15, maybe 18 credits, which can be a lot. You're balancing a lot of different subjects and topics at once. But also as well, typically in your graduate experience, you're typically doing about 9 credits. And for my instance, it's 2 credits worth of classes, or excuse me, 6 credits worth of classes, and then 3 credits worth of research. And yes, it technically is less work in some aspects, but arguably you're putting a lot more effort and like strength into those particular topics. So you're doing much more of a deep dive and understanding. And in some ways that can be more difficult, but in other ways it's quite rewarding.
What about you, Hector? Why would you recommend the program?
So I would say, there's plenty of employers here in New Jersey, right? So especially if you're staying in South Jersey, North Jersey, oh, sorry, not North Jersey, kind of far, right? South Jersey or Central Jersey, definitely, the BSMS programs offers you the opportunity to like be part-time, right? So they're able to work on your, graduate degree and also be working full-time or part-time, right? So I have a couple of peers that are actually working full-time. I'm taking classes with them. They're doing 6 credits, which is the part-time limit. So definitely, I would really encourage it, especially if you are looking to like get ahead in the industry, right? Because there's a lot of people that go out with bachelor's degrees. So definitely working towards a master's, even not having it, like working towards a master's and putting down your resume shows the employer that you are definitely interested in pursuing more education, and definitely they can see you as they can potentially see you as a better asset to their company.
Yeah, no, that definitely is a large part that we have so many companies around. Even with the 4-credit internship program, it's a great resource that not every university has. So. Okay, Hannah, last question for you. For you, how is being a master's student similar and different to being a bachelor student?
So I guess overall it isn't too different, although I don't know if any of you are in any cross-listed courses, and they always like, oh, don't worry, undergraduate students, we'll grade you much more leniently. So a little intimidating being on the other side of that. Like I feel okay with some lenient grading too. But other than that, really, like sure, the courses might be a little more work, but you also have more time to do it. Like when you're only taking a 9-credit load, you have a lot more free time in your schedule if you're not doing, and even if you are doing research. I mean, that's part of your credit load. So I'm taking 9 credits of classes, but you actually do have a lot more time to spend working on them. So even though it is a little harder, you have the time for it. And overall, I think it really was a pretty seamless transition.
That's great. What about you, Hector? Last question. How was for you a master's student similar and different to a bachelor student?
So we already mentioned it. So of course, definitely higher than your regular undergrad course, but at the same time, it's courses that you already picked, right? It's a concentration you pick. So definitely, I'll say they're kind of easier in the way that you get to learn what you want to learn from, right? Not just fulfilling. Well, you're fulfilling requirements, right? But at the same time, it's something related to what you want to work in the industry at some point. So that's kind of like the main difference. Like for example, my concentration is solid state electronics. I'm not taking like any programming courses or statistics. I'm taking courses more related to semiconductor devices. For a couple of examples, semiconductors work for AI class, and intro to solid state physics. Those kind of courses that get you more into what industry is looking for, right? Because I know the ECE, at least regarding solid state, the ECE curriculum doesn't really cover like quantum mechanics. It's more like kind of related to like the physics department, which also has to do with like for example, if you're trying to work in the semiconductor industry, definitely that's a topic that employers want you to at least be aware of or related in some kind of classwork or previous experience. So definitely you're able to get closer to what you want to be in the future. That's kind of like the main difference.
And you get to choose what you're studying. You just don't have to like fulfill some unitary requirements that aren't interesting to you. Yeah. Cool. So now we're gonna open it up to you all. What questions do you have for them?
Question for you. So, can you tell us some experiences in Princeton classes? How would you compare the first to the Rutgers class?
That's a good question. So entering this semester, I was interested in 2 classes, and I think I'll describe both of them to give a better idea. The class that I'm currently enrolled in, I would argue, is a little less heavy in terms of work, but still a lot of work. About 4 homework assignments, a presentation on a state-of-the-art paper, and then a final project. In comparison to another class that I was interested in on large language models, you're reading about 2 to 4 research papers a week, answering questions on the research papers, giving a summary. At some point during the semester, you're picked to write a summary of the lecture. You're also giving a debate during the semester on a topic, and then of course there's a final project. So a little bit more work and a little bit more responsibility. But I feel Rutgers courses have that same level of like responsibility and work as well. I wouldn't say one is like way more than the other. It's very much just like, I guess more open would be a more proper term to say, or like more broader strokes of how you approach and solve a problem.
So for the Princeton exchange program, could you select any of the courses of Princeton, or was it like selected?
But the question, so the main rules, and Professor, please correct me if I'm wrong, is you have to fulfill a residency requirement with respect to the Rutgers BS MS program, or just the MS program. And the course cannot be offered at, the course is not offered at Rutgers University. So for instance, I can't go to Princeton and be like, oh, I want to take their machine vision class when we already have a machine vision class here. But like, for instance, we don't have a class on large language models, but Princeton does offer a class on large language models. I could request to take that class, confirm with Professor Bajwa, I believe the course coordinator of Rutgers University, and then the professor of the class to make sure everything is okay.
Although Katie would add something to that.
Next semester, we do have a course on large language models, so if you're
Oh, wow.
interested.
Sorry, guys, take the personnel. But yeah. But yeah, as long as Rutgers University doesn't offer it, you can go.
Can it be like anytime during the semester, or is it like set amounts of time you can use that?
I'm not sure I follow on.
So,
Can you restate your question?
so for the Princeton exchange program, do you do it after like junior or senior, or do you do it in certain stage of your undergraduate or ECE MS program?
I did not do it in my undergraduate. I did it during my graduate.
You cannot do it as an undergraduate. This is only
Okay.
once you are a master's student.
Yes.
Okay,
This is only, this partnership is only at the graduate level, not at the.
I did not do it. Undergraduate. I did it.
so how many classes can you take for the graduate?
From my understanding, for my master's program, there's a 30 credit residency requirement. As long as you, or not 30,
21.
21, excuse me. A 21 credit residency requirement. I believe there are no other restrictions otherwise.
Yes, you can take up to 9 credits.
Okay,
As long as you fulfill,
full 30, yeah.
or it's 21, yeah, 21 residency
During-
credits. Rutgers doesn't offer it, and everybody gets to sign off, then you're able.
This project, what kind of thing was that you were doing?
Like how I have research credit?
Yeah, and what are you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So initially, when I was brought on to Kristen Dana's lab, we were originally on a IARPA contract, and we were doing a project called GeoWatch with Kitware, which was given satellite imagery with a multitude of different outputs of channels. So for instance, like video for RGB depth, as well as additional channels that satellites can capture. Use that information to predict regions of interest on the planet Earth, as well as classify what is occurring in those regions. We were going to expand that into something utilizing contrastive learning, which, if you're not familiar with machine learning, is essentially updating the loss based on positive pairs and negative pairs. But due to funding conflicts and just losing access to the data set, we weren't able to continue that research. We have since transitioned to research on combining essentially reality-aware networks, which is combining signal information with robotics and making a more active-like society with that additional information. We're currently working with Facebook or Meta to utilize Project Aria glasses, which is essentially glasses kind of like the Snap Spectacles, if you're familiar with that that capture different channels and information of data from the first person perspective. We're trying to combine that first person perspective video data and Wi-Fi signal or Bluetooth signal information into a system that a robot is able to navigate with all that information combined.
Interesting.
Thank you.
Can you also change what area in your BSMS that you would like to focus on? Like if you originally picked machine learning but want to do something else, can you do that? Or do you have to stick with that?
I'm pretty sure that, I mean, you have to satisfy all the requirements from it, so it might take you a little longer to finish if you've been on one path and want to switch it to another. But also, Professor Baljo, if you want to talk about the cross-cutting specialization.
Yeah.
it might be-
Short answer.
What other questions do? Thank you guys for coming and being our panelists. And if you have any more questions.
And thank you, all three of you, for taking time out to come here and, hopefully you folks have seen their faces, you can interact with them, or I don't know if they are on Discord or not, but you can talk to them later if they are. Thank you.
If any of you are on the fence of like doing a master's degree around, I know personally, I don't think I can handle working full-time and doing a master's degree in the evening. So just having this option of continuing and getting it done, it was definitely worthwhile to me, so definitely take that into consideration if you're on the fence.
Thank you. If you folks have to leave your.
Sir.
Sticking around until the end.
Thank you. So, a couple of things that, thank you, Katie, for moderating the panel. A couple of themes that came up, I do want to touch upon them. One is that we have focused only on the concept of courses. We, of course, if you are talking about our master's program, we of course welcome students who want to do thesis-based masters. That is an option. Of course, thesis-based masters take longer because thesis is not like a course, research is not like a course. You have to spend some time. But you as a BSMS student, we have actually this semester we had someone who graduated with a thesis. They were our BSMS student. So the best thing if you are a BSMS student, you are interested in thesis, the best time to start your research then is effectively, unless you want to do 4+2, the best time is effectively your senior year, you start doing research at that time. So it's not that BSMS students don't do thesis or research, it's just that it's not very common, and you have to be aware of that it's going to take you a little longer time. Having said that, many of our students do that, and some of them even go on to then continue into our PhD program. I had one student ask me they want to change their BSMS to PhD. Right? So a lot of other things happen, and as I said, PhD, no one pays from their pocket, by the way, if you are not aware, right? If you do PhD, don't do PhD unless someone is paying you. Simple as that. So, okay. So hopefully, if it has given you some sense of what you want to do, if you want to think about next steps. First of all, you are already in your fall semester, so you don't have that much time, but you have still spring semester left. If you have more time on your schedule, come and talk to me. I have office hours this semester, most Thursdays at 5 p.m. Katie, as I said, has office open most of the time. We have a graduate handbook that lists the courses you want to take. The way it works at the master's level is that you need to know what you are specializing in. So you can pick from one of these 7 specialization areas. We have specialization in communication. So if you are interested in, for example, networking, wireless communications, digital communications. We have specialization in signal information processing. For example, if you're interested in things like, noise canceling headphones, you're interested in how do you do radar tracking, things like problems like that. We have, of course, machine learning, systems and controls, computer engineering, software engineering, and then we used to call it solid state, but then many of our students were like, we're not really sure what solid state is, so we have expanded the name to electronic devices, circuits, and systems. So it includes the ICs and all that, but we have changed its name. So the question that was asked is, where you have to pick a specialization area, and then you have to follow a track within that. Let's say a semester into it, you say, I don't want to do this specialization area. I started doing, let's say, machine learning, and I really fell in love with this. Well, there is some overlap, you can change it. You can change it as often as you like. Just remember what Hannah said, that when you change it, the requirements will change, right? But we also have, so unlike the bachelor's where you are constrained by ABIT, master's doesn't have any ABIT, okay? And these specialization areas are really to help you focus. But we make all sorts of plans with students. They come to us and they say, I really like to do computer vision and robotics, for example. I'm giving an example, right? And so none of these fit into, but if I take this course, this would be an excellent specialization for me. So I and that student sit down together and we come up with a plan for their specialization. Some other students say, I really like electronic devices, but I also want to do I want to build these things for machine learning problems. Okay, I want to combine these things. So we have cross-cutting specialization. The main thing is you have to have a rationale, a plan for it. What you cannot do is basically a shotgun approach that I took one course there, one course there, one course there. Oh, I have 30 credits, give me a master's degree. We don't want to do that. And also as a student, that master's degree is going to be worth nothing, right? Because you really did not dig into it. The key here is what was mentioned in the panel. You are going deep into an area. You are specializing. If you don't specialize, master's degree by itself, there are, by the way, a lot of master's programs, right? Even if you don't join us, you go into the workforce. If you choose to do master's, keep that in mind. It's not about just having a master's degree in your hand. It's about how much of a knowledge you have gained in certain area. Otherwise, there is no difference between you and an undergraduate student, because what is undergraduate student? Like, they have knowledge of a lot of things, but they are basically master of none, right? So that, so pick that area, you don't have to do that. Another advantage of while people are doing this specialization, we also have two formal certificate programs. One is in cybersecurity, one is in machine learning. Okay? Each one of these requires 4 courses, and it doesn't require any extra money. So many of our students, when they pick one of the specializations, for example, computer engineering, they figure out their schedule so that they take courses that also align with cybersecurity, and then they say, I have a computer engineering master's, and I also have a certificate in cybersecurity. Okay? So someone was asking about cybersecurity. That is how you basically put cybersecurity onto your resume. We don't have a whole specialization, because to offer a specialization, you have to have about 8 or 10 courses, right? We don't have 8 or 10 courses in cybersecurity. I'll just come to it 1 second. Similarly, we have machine learning. You say, I don't want to actually do the machine learning specialization because it's going to require me a lot of courses, but I want to, let's say, do systems and control, but I would like to have a machine learning certificate. So you can take, there are overlaps with courses, you can do that. And all you have to do is at the end say, I am ready to get the certificate. You don't pay any, you pay $0 extra, right? And you get on your transcript, you get also listed certificate in machine learning. Okay? You had a question.
Are the specific courses listed on the?
Yes, they are. Yes. Okay. So if you are interested, right, the way is, again, as we talked about, it's very flexible. The applications, we are still taking applications for spring 2025, but applications for fall 2025 are open now. I'll give you the link. We are going to be providing initial decisions by the end of January. And then from February to August, we monitor your progress in the undergraduate program, make sure that your grades are keeping up. We stay in touch with you through different resources, and within any of that time frame, you can tell us. Once we send you an admission, you have to decide, you say like, you can decline, you can say I'm withdrawing, or you can say I will come. And later you can say, oh, you know what, I got this awesome job, it's paying me $10 million a year, right? I'm just kidding, but it may be, or, I launched a new cryptocurrency and I became really a millionaire, I'm not coming, So in that case, we'll say, good luck, just send us a check of a few $1,000 as donation. But other than that, nothing much. You don't have any commitment, no money required. If you are interested in being considered for the TA position, we do require that you apply by March 1st because we start making decisions on that. Again, they are very competitive, but typically every year we offer 1 to 2 TA positions for our BSMS program. Yes.
Most of the TAs, PhD students or MS students?
They are most of the TAs are PhD students. We typically, for master's students, the only students we actually give TAs to our BSMS students. Our students who come from outside, we typically don't give them tuition unless they are PhD students. Okay, so if all of that sounds good, what you need to do is go to this website, go.rutgers.edu/apply now. Okay? And you will log in there using your net ID. So use your net ID, and there, when you start the application process, you will go into the second or third window. Katie can explain more. There are few things that you have to pick. As a degree, you will say you are a degree candidate, not a certificate or anything other. You will pick for degree type, you will call it 5-year master's. Unfortunately, it still uses that framing, even though I said it should not, but that's the way they have set it up. So you'll pick the degree type to be 5-year master's. Everyone who has, by the way, signed up and given us their email, I presume that they are gonna get an email of which will include these slides. So if your email was not legible, you may wanna go and check it out again. In the area of study, you will put engineering. And then in your location, you will put New Brunswick. And then your program selection, you will put electrical and computer engineering 5-year MS New Brunswick. Again, it's not 5 years, that's not what we are saying, but that's the way it is. And then you will choose the term. You will say fall 2025. You want to pick the term immediately after the term you would have finished your bachelor's degree. Okay? Even if you think that you are going to take a break, or you want to pick still that term, and then communicate with us if you want to expand it. Okay? If you want to extend it, we can give a deferral up to a year. And keep in mind that you officially become a master's student only after you graduate with a bachelor's degree. So that is the most important thing, which means that many of the things, like you cannot take Princeton exchange program till you have actually become our master's student. You cannot take 4-credit internship till you have actually become our master's student. Okay. Letters of recommendation. Now that's the only piece that you may need. And there are 3 criteria. If your GPA is above 3.7 and you are interested in a TA position, then you need 2 letters of recommendation. But we will reach out to you. When you submit this application, you should have planned who will be your letter writer. And then basically you will hear from Katie. Katie, it goes through email, right? Yeah, so you will receive an email from her saying, since your GPA is this, if you are interested in TA position, tell us your letters of recommendation, who will be there. If you're not interested, then you don't have to worry about that. If your GPA is above 3.2, you don't need any letters of recommendation. Okay, 0 letters needed. If your GPA is above 3.2, The only thing we are going to use is your transcript. This system, when you apply, by the way, will automatically pull your transcript. So you don't have to, that's why I said, like, this has been streamlined so much now, the application process, that it literally should not take you more than 5 to 10 minutes maximum to submit it. You are not uploading anything to apply, okay? Folks who were in our program before, you have to send us email and stuff.
Yeah.
No more that, right? So it's extremely streamlined. As long as you pick this thing, it will pull your transcript itself. And that's the way we'll make our decision. If your GPA is below 3.2 and above 3, then we will not make a decision unless we have one letter of recommendation. The letter should come from a faculty, ideally in ECE. As I said, the idea is not that the faculty says, oh, this person has, GPA, this GPA. What we are looking for is, okay, you're applying for solid state electronics, right? Maybe in programming you didn't have good grades. That's okay. Can one solid state electronics faculty say that this person is going to be really do well in our program? By do well means we do not want to remove anyone from our program. How do you get removed? Your GPA is below 3, you get Fs, you start getting F, right? We don't want to do that. We don't want to be in that position. So that's what we are looking for. That's what the letter is, right? And if your GPA is below 3 but above 2.8, then we need 2 strong letters of recommendation. If your GPA is below 2.8, you really have to have a strong case of what were the extenuating circumstances. Because if your GPA is below 2.8 in the undergraduate level, if there were some challenges that happened in your life, yes, we can talk about it, come and see me and we'll discuss that, okay? And then for anything that happens, stay in contact with us, with Katie. This is the email address you want to use, ecgradprogram@story.rutgers.edu. And you want to then talk about, you want to basically ask any questions, plan your coursework and all that. Okay, so hopefully the panelists, everyone tried to convince you that this is a good idea. And if you would think about it, but if you don't believe any of us, then, hopefully you will believe in this very wide figure that you should think about after. And if you have any other questions, the panelists are going to stay behind. Or they might stay behind. I should impose upon them. I am going to stay behind and happy to answer any questions. Thank you. Good luck and good luck with your final.